state your name, age, and date of birth for the record?
Ernest Benton, January 27th, 1975. I'm 50 years old.
What was your initial reaction to the news about the pandemic?
The initial reaction of the news about the pandemic was a shock. I was shocked at first, knowing that a disease that they said traveled from China made it here all the way to the United States and affected so many people.
Could you describe your life during a typical weekday prior to COVID-19?
Prior to COVID-19, basically the quote unquote normal life of working a 9 to 5. It's the typical life, 9 to 5, home, family. That's it.
Did you pick up any new hobbies during the quarantine?
No.
Do you remember the moment you realized that the pandemic was going to seriously impact your life?
At first, just watching, as the pandemic grew, it came through my job. I saw coworkers get affected by it. I saw some of my friends get affected by it, and it was really hard watching them. Well, listen to the stories that they were going through when they contracted COVID.
Did you trust the information being shared by the news outlets during the pandemic? Why or why not?
Yeah, I trusted it once it became as widespread as it did, and how fast COVID was spread, and there was the news was pretty much on point as far as information that they gave out.
What were the biggest challenges you faced while adjusting to life during the What were the biggest challenges you faced while adjusting to life during the shutdown?
Just the everyday life, just the freedom of just getting up and going when and where you wanted to go was a big challenge. On just having to stay still, being close to having to stay in the house, and only going out during necessities or things that you really need. Yeah, that was kind of rough.
Were you working at the time? How did your job or work situation change during the pandemic?
Yes, I was working at the time, and being an essential worker, which I'm a diesel mechanic, had me working every day. And like I said, just as the pandemic grew, and it's kind of sort of like swept through the shop. Quite a few of the guys and my coworkers caught it, so yeah.
Did the pandemic change your perspective on travel or outdoor activities?
Of course it did, especially once I believe I contracted COVID from going to an outdoor activity. I took my son to a soccer game here in Atlanta, and we had a blast. His first soccer game, my first soccer game, we had a good time. Got home probably the next day, man, I wasn't feeling right. Headache, I had all the symptoms that they said that would happen just by going out.
How did the isolation and uncertainty, not knowing what comes next, affect your mental health?
I don't think it affected my mental health. I just thought it made me more aware of the severity of what was going on during COVID. Once I contracted it really honed me in onto, yeah, I should have listened. I should have had my mask on. I shouldn't have went out. I should have social distanced. So yeah, it had a real effect on me.
Did you find any unexpected positives during the shutdown?
No, as far as the shutdown, I saw nothing positive that came through it. Well, maybe a little bit family coming together a little bit more as far as your home coming together. But other than that, no, there was nothing.
As you said earlier, you contracted the virus. What was that experience like?
It was everything that they said would happen happened. I mean, from not smelling, not tasting, the being weak, hot, cold, everything that they mentioned, I had. So it was very uncomfortable, and yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
How do you feel about the safety measures like masks and social distancing? Do you think that helped with the spread of the virus or not?
I think it helped by not spreading the virus, but just living here in America, everybody seems to be free and carefree of what they want to do as far as choice wise, and some people really paid attention to the advice given by the news, and some people didn't. Like myself, at one point, I didn't. Man, I'm not gonna catch it. I feel as though I'm the bravest thing or the biggest thing on earth. I ain't gonna catch it. And then once I caught it, I understood everything about what they were saying.
How did you feel about getting the vaccine? Did your job require it?
My job didn't require getting a vaccine, and I really don't feel. I'm really not into the medicine thing. I'm more lean towards more the natural herbs and vitamins of such. So yeah, I don't really believe in the vaccine.
Did COVID-19 impact your relationships with friends or extended family? Did you start to see less or more throughout the quarantine?
No, just no, I didn't. Just due to the fact that social media plays a major, a huge part in society today. So everything was pretty much stayed the same as far as talking to family and friends that isn't here in my immediate area. So it didn't really affect any relationships as far as that go.
Did the pandemic change your perspective on anything like work, family, health, politics, etc.?
It just made me want to be more on top of my intake on vitamins, keeping my health, going to the gym, being more exercising more.
How did you cope with the lack of social interaction and activities that you typically enjoyed pre-pandemic?
Well, as far as activities and stuff go, it was a challenge. But then again, I like to play the game, and then, like I said earlier, the social media really kept a lot of things going. As far as communication with friends and family, they had versus the rap battles and DJs having an in-house party through social media, which really grasped on very quickly during the pandemic. So there was a lot of things that I was able to do to occupy that time as far as being quarantined in the house and stuff like that.
In what ways do you think the pandemic has permanently altered society or culture?
I think it might have altered society and culture just by how the virus got out, so-called the virus got out from China, and how it spread throughout the world. Like, how did it just jump continents and things of that nature? It has you thinking of basically something like chemical warfare type business going on. It was kind of sort of have you thinking about population control, things of that nature. How did it's just weird how it got out and how quickly it spread. That's really scary.
What was the hardest adjustment for you when it came to navigating the world post pandemic?
Ask that again.
What was the hardest adjustment for you when it came to navigating the post pandemic world?
Like I stated earlier, it wasn't really hard for me because I was an essential worker. So my lifestyle pretty much stayed the same as far as getting out, going to work, having the same challenges that I had before the pandemic. It was just a little bit more scarier, being that I was in contact with so many different people. And you know, truck drivers, they travel from state to state. They're in different bathrooms, different gas stations. They're touching stuff, and then I would have to get in their trucks and work on things. So that kind of made it scared, and kind of made it iffy. But my job gave us a lot of sprays and disinfectants for us to spray into the trucks before we got into them. So it was a major change.
How did your relationship with food change during the pandemic? Did you cook more, try new recipes, or change your eating habits?
For the most part, we usually cook. So of course, the cooking went up. Um, it was more so getting a lot of fruits and uh, getting to know the different herbs that you could use to boost your immune system, such as elderberry. We were doing what is that? Sea moss, and making our own gels and stuff like that. It changed a lot, and I'm done with that question.
Wait. As you stated earlier, technology had a big role on your life. Do you feel like you became more connected with the world while being isolated from it?
I wouldn't say felt more connected to the world while being isolated from it. I would just say it with the social media, basically, social media just makes the world smaller. Where I can, if I wanted to, I can talk to somebody in China, or I can talk to somebody in Africa. So it made the world so much smaller, and it you were able to communicate with people in different countries, and also talk about what they were going through with COVID, as far as what they was going through COVID living in their country. So I don't think it made a hard impact. It kind of sort of brought the world together at that point.
What part of the pre-pandemic, what part of your pre-pandemic routine did you miss the most? And what part did you find the easier to live without?
Pre-pandemic, at that time during the pandemic, I would like to go out, and that was, it wasn't really hard to stop it. It was just not being able to go and move freely as you would like to move it. It drastically changed the life in that matter, but for the most part, everything pretty much stayed the same. Like I said, being an essential worker, I still had to get up and leave out the house. I still had to move and interact with people. So it didn't really change or hamper my life like that.
Do you think life has fully returned to normal, or do you still feel lasting effects from the pandemic?
I feel now life has pretty much turned back to normal. People are, hustling, bustling still. The world's back moving. The only thing I'm looking at is just how did it just disappear? Where did it go? What are they calling it now? That's the real scary part. Why aren't people being affected by this the way they were being affected earlier when it first started? What changed? How did it move? That's the real puzzling question that I have.
Looking back, what do you think was the hardest part of the pandemic for you?
Again, like I stated earlier, catching it. Catching it was pure hell, and I didn't only just catch it once. It's just the first time I did catch it. That's when I got all the symptoms. I caught it 3 times, but I guess from the first time of me catching it, my body formed I guess a defense for it, so it didn't hamper me as much when I caught it the next 2 times. It didn't really hamper me as much. I think my body just built the antigens or whatever for the defense, and yeah, that's it.
Looking forward, how do you think we can better prepare for future global challenges based on the lessons learned from COVID-19?
Looking forward, the honest and truthful answer is to stop messing with stuff. We need to have these scientists stop making these or engineering these chemical warfares, basically chemical warfare on the people. We need to stop the mad scientists. Period. Thank you.